What is up? I'm Igor Shalvarov, and in today's dance comp review video tutorial, I'm going to share with you my ultimate dance sport warm-up. Alright, so I think a good warm-up is absolutely essential to get your body prepared for some good dancing. It loosens your body, it also activates the muscles, the joints, the ligaments, but most importantly, it prevents from possible injuries. You know, it's like a car engine. You have to give it some time to idle before you drive off to wherever you are planning on going.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So you're one of those people who just started off and not cool. Whether you're giving your vehicle a proper warm-up or not, your body definitely needs it. Now I know, there's probably a lot of warm-up exercises out there in the world of the internet, but this is what I use and this is what I'm sharing with you. I personally find this routine very universal, which means whether you're an international Latin dancer or standard dancer or American smooth or rhythm dancer, or if you're into cabaret, theater arts or whatever, this should definitely get you warmed up. For the attire, I suggest wearing something comfortable. For example, in my case, I'm gonna be wearing my favorite cowboy costume. Just kidding, I'm gonna go with my favorite t-shirt, exercise pants, and a pair of sneakers. So let's not wait any further and jump straight into that warm-up routine. And the first exercise is simple, it's quick jumps. I'm just jumping up and down, and it's almost like skipping rope, except I don't have the rope. The purpose is to shake things off, get the body energized, to activate my leg muscles and relax the upper extremities. The amount of times I jump doesn't really matter. You can do this as long as you'd like. Next, the upper body twists. Legs spread facing forward, I'm grabbing my wrists and without force twisting my upper body from side to side. The purpose is to activate the overall body muscles and get them into the working condition. It is worth noting that I inhale when I start the rotation and exhale when I arrive to either sides. Number 3, stretches up with circular upper body rotations. I start this off by slightly squatting and collecting an imaginary exercise ball in my palms. While inhaling, I then push that ball up into the ceiling. Then once at the top, I start exhaling and going for a controlled circular rotations to either side. After a full circle and a half, I should end up at the bottom of the circle. And through squatting positions, I start my cycle again to the other side. Number 4, bends and arches. While inhaling, I'm pushing my ball out of the squatting position upwards, and while slowly exhaling, I'm bending over forward trying to touch the floor. I stay there for a brief moment, then through inhaling, squatting, and pushing the ball up again, I go back to the upper stretch. And now, exhaling and under control, I'm bending backwards. As you can see from another angle, I also bring my arms in front of my body for counterbalance. I bend over to the edge of my comfort zone without any arm support, and then I slowly bring myself back up to the standing position. The good old calf stretches. Breathing normally now, facing either direction, I'm doing me some dynamic calf stretches. Now, I find with this exercise it is important not to stretch statically, but rather go through the range of motion of pointing and flexing my toes. In my experience, it really warms up the calves, and of course, I do both legs a few times. Side lunge preps. So here I drive my pelvis from one leg to the other while slightly squatted. This helps me warm up my leg muscles for much deeper lunges that I'm going to do next. And I go from one side to another side until I feel my leg muscles warm up. Side lunges. While supporting myself with my arms, I lunge sideways onto each leg. At the end of my comfortable range of motion, I do slight bounces. I prefer that because it keeps my muscles activated. I do this with some arm support. You can try doing without arm support. It's up to you. Deep side lunges. So this is basically an extension to the side lunges that we just did, but with this exercise I rotate the toes of my stretching leg upwards for more of a hamstring dynamic stretch while sinking my pelvis closer to the ground. I comfortably place my hands around me to prevent myself from falling back or forward and to support my body when I get out of the lunge position. If you can do this without arms, props to you. Next, knee circulations plus flexion and extension of the knees. While joining my feet together, I make circular clockwise and counterclockwise rotations with my both knees. I do this very carefully, making sure I don't feel any pain. And then while applying a bit of pressure with my hands, I straighten my knees, gently stretching the hamstrings, and then I fully squat, stretching the quads. Knee circulations with legs apart plus flexion and extension of my knees. Here I make a similar circular movements with my knees, but now with my legs apart. Also being mindful with how my knees feel, making sure I avoid any unnatural movement. Then bending and straightening my knees just like before, and finishing with the squat. Upper back twists. While still in the slightly squatted position with my legs apart, I place my hands onto my knees and twist my upper body to either side, alternatively stretching the lower back and the shoulder joints. I would say definitely be mindful of how you go with that twist, making sure that all movements are under control. Next are pelvic rotations. So here I'm doing so-called general pelvic rotations, which means I have my hands on the waist and making circular rotations to either direction. You can see my upper body counterbalancing my hips. The focus here is specifically to warm up the areas where my legs attach to my pelvis. And then after a few rotations, I release the arms and focus on making circular rotations with just my hips, which means I isolate the hips and the upper body. This exercise specifically activates the lower spine, warms up the pelvic area, and definitely prevents from possible...
What was the problem?
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What, a vertebrae or
Well,
what portion?
Spinal.
Alright, next exercise, the jiggle worm. I don't really know if there's an actual term for this exercise, but my partner calls it the jiggle worm, so we'll call it just that. Basically, the point of this exercise is to warm up the core muscles as much as possible, and the concept is simple. I'm just making circular body wave movements in which shoulder rotations oppose hip rotations, almost like circular chest pumps, if you will. Alright, moving up to arm rotations. I'm starting with an outward full arm circular rotations, making sure that the shoulder joints get fully warmed up. You can see me slow down here to give my surrounding shoulder muscles an extra dynamic stretch. I also breathe through it. I then make outward rotations of my forearms and then onto my wrists. Then I come to the end of the range of motion and then I reverse the whole process inwards. Just like with the legs, the idea here is to activate the surrounding arm muscles. Arm flops. This specific exercise focuses on relaxing the arms while making quick torso rotations, allowing the arms to flop from one side to the other. The purpose is to shake off any possible tension that could build in the upper body, and my main focus actually goes into first rotating my pelvis, then the upper torso, and then I just let the arms fly freely. 16. Body stimulation. Here I am doing a bit of a body stimulation by cupping my hands and clapping all reachable areas of my body. This, I find, stimulates my body and sort of wakes it up a bit, encourages it to get active. As you can see, I started with my upper back, then moved through my arms, onto the chest, torso, and abdomen areas. Then onto thighs and calves from both sides. And of course, not forgetting the most important dancer's muscles, butt cheeks! And finishing up with the lower back, or as far as I can reach. So now on to the next stretches. I'm starting this up with up and down head tilts. Doing that a few times. Then I rotate my head side to side. Then onto the side to side tilts. And finishing with clockwise and counterclockwise circular head rotations. It goes without saying that we, the dancers, need very flexible neck muscles, so I'm definitely focusing a lot of attention on my neck here. And finally, I'm shaking things off with the wrist shakes. These I find are just great to complete my warm-up routine, praise the Lord, shake it off again, and get my mind ready for some good dancing. So that's it. This is how I warm up before every practice or before every performance event. And now that you saw it, you could totally use it yourself or parts of it, whichever you like. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and share it with your dance friend. Also, if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to this channel and toggling that little notification bell to get notified of the new video releases. And if you were wondering about the fancy graphic and the super cool merchandise, it is definitely available for you to purchase. All you gotta do is just check out the description below for the link to the website. Thank you for watching this dance comp review video tutorial. I'm Igor Shalvarov, and I'll see you in the next one. Wow! almost killed my avocado tree. God damn it. They're growing bigger. I think with every single video you'd be able to see how they're growing taller. Yeah, we got a double over here. And then there's another one. There's another baby. Probably need to repot them pretty soon. See ya!